not, and this is Middle Class to Wealthy. Today, I would like to talk about Corona, the economy, working, schooling, family, and health. My focus is strategically building wealth. And the reason why I started the podcast or the movement, right? The movement and then subsequently the podcast was really to start the conversation around getting a different perspective, looking at things just differently, looking at things for how they are, not so much what we've always been told. You know, we kind of fall into these habits of things have always been done this way, and we don't question things. And we pass things down from generation to generation. Typically, this is just how things have been done. We might not be completely happy, but it works, maybe. Which is why I try and give a different perspective. Robert Kiyosaki talks about the cash flow quadrants, right? So we know the different ways to make money. You can be employed by someone, you work for someone. You can be a small business owner or self-employed, so you work for yourself. You can own a business. And when I say business, I don't mean small business, because small business typically is very dependent on you. If you don't show up, things don't really get done. So business, which gives you leverage, you have people working for you. If you decided to take time off, if you decided not to show up, you've implemented a system so much so that the operation will not fall apart. It will not flounder. You won't miss your money, any money, right? Because you have managers in place. Everybody knows their part. It's a full system. And then you can have your money working for you. So you have, then you have money working for you, where you're the investor. On a smaller scale, you know, those of us here in middle class that may be doing a little bit better than others will play the investor to real estate investors, people who flip houses. So they'll play the bank. So there's opportunities to put your money to work for you that are more commonly known. But then the ones that will really work for you, where yes, you have to strategize, you have to own it, and you have to make it work for you. But those that aren't widely known, people are so skeptical, not open to listening. What are you saying no to? We talk about never leave money on the table. Within middle class and lower income, we have money on a table. We have money on the floor. We have money in the hallway. I mean, everywhere we move, we are leaving a trail of money behind us. All of because how we think. So what does this have to do with Corona, the economy, schooling? Corona, COVID-19 was a wake-up call, is a wake-up call. And I think half of us are still asleep. That alarm is going off and half of us are still asleep. The sheer panic of not knowing when Corona is going to subside, sheer panic is what makes it a wake-up call. We've had recessions before, quite often, consistently, regularly. And no, we don't usually know how long it will last, but this is a completely different animal. This has attacked our health, kills people, so much so they shut down everything. We're stuck in the house. And the reason I can call this panic is because of how the first thing we're worried about is the economy. And despite having fixed the problem and consistently worked towards a solution that has worked for other countries, so we're going to push everybody back out to work. Now, you've heard me refer to the economy as a bad relationship. All take, no give, where we are supporting those who have, those who fund everything. But actually, we fund everything. Those of them with deeper pockets started a company, whether it was something they were passionate about or not. No, because that's not what business is. Business is a vehicle. They saw a need, a want, a desire. They saw a way to fill the needs of consumers. In studying, what do people want? Okay, we definitely need to eat. We need shelter. We need transportation. We need health. So those are easy opportunities for business. We've gotten comfortable. We need lights, plumbing, air conditioning, but we've gotten to a comfortable place. Like these become the necessity. Then there's your wants, then your desires. So of course, because they're not necessities, they cost a little bit more. Either way, who's paying for all that stuff? It's us. So money is typically recycled through middle income and lower income because we receive our payment for our services rendered, labor, whatever you want to call it, for our contributions to the companies that we work for in the form of a paycheck. But because the workforce are also the consumers, we go right back out and we spend all that money on our needs. So the expenses to run the household, food, transportation, our wants, vacation, upgrading, clothes. Well, clothes is a necessity to an extent. This bad relationship is like, look, we're running out of food. Food being money. Now businesses are floundering. They're starting to feel a burn, a pinch, right? We're running out of food. You need to get back to work. The abusive significant other. You need to get back to work. This is ridiculous. But babe, I'm sick. Like I can't even hardly. Yeah, I get that. But we need to eat. And you need to get back to work. And because you don't know another way, you don't see a way out, you go with it. These people need to get back to work. That's our government. These people need to get back to work. Well, we solved the whole Corona COVID issue. Yeah, you know what? People are going to die. That's just what it is. Because they ain't got to get out there. They don't have to be exposed. They don't have to expose their families. So it's nothing to push you out. They were sacrificing the elderly. So you really think to protect their bottom line, which is all of the reason why they started business to begin with, all of the reason why government incentivizes business for access to our purse strings so that it stays self-sustaining. The government is tired right now of having money go out this way instead of coming in this way. These people need to get back to work. They messing up the operation. Like we have a system in place here. No, this is off. They're fighting back and forth. They're not worried about you, your best interest. All these people out here about to face eviction. Oh, well, no, we're not going to let that happen. They protected you for 3 months. But now, they're fighting about helping you sustain. That's like that employer that cares about you. And I don't mean the employer that cares about you, because there is a difference. But this is the one that cares about you. They may ask you surface level questions, but they don't really care whether you are right. The only reason they do care, if they did care, is so you can get back to work and you don't infect too many other people so that nobody else is calling out sick. So we need to be able to keep these businesses afloat. And only real way to have that happen is to get these people back out there. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if it's COVID. I don't care if you're in danger. Yeah, but school is closed and what I'm gonna do, childcare. You know what? Kids go back to school too. We open everything back up. But we don't really know how this affects our kids. That's the economy. The bad relationship, they don't care about its citizens. So the masses are supporting those who can fund everything when we're actually the ones funding. We're just not real smart about how we're doing it. We don't really see what's happening. So I was watching this episode of, I don't know, Dateline, one of those shows, about the real hustlers. The J-Lo movie with Cardi B. Anyway, so they were showing the real women. They were talking about how these women worked at the strip club, and then they started talking about, and I ain't go into too much detail, but then they started talking about how the strippers were really being exploited because they have to pay to work. So they talked about how, like, you show up, you have 30 minutes to get ready, and after that, the clock starts. And how they have to pay the club, they have to pay the bartender, the manager, the this, the that. Like all of these people that they have to kind of grease their pockets so that they get referred. And it's like the toll to cross the bridge. And the reporter said, well, I don't know of a job at all that you have to pay to work there. Really? You don't? That's every job in America. Every job. Listen to what I'm talking to you about. Government incentivizes businesses because at the end of the day, we are taxed for everything we do. The more we make, the more the government benefits. Businesses are really just fronting the money, right? So they've kind of set up the infrastructure so that people can go to the machine and work the machine and receive their pay. But they've created these businesses, these vehicles for a profit, not out of the goodness of their heart, not just because, we want to change the world, not just because we want to see cars on the street or roads out there or electricity in the house, because we were cavemen. No, for a profit. They've gotten credit to kind of start their capital. We'll call it capital. Capital to establish the business. They paid all of the overhead to get this thing operational. They pay the operational expense to keep the lights on, to keep the people coming, to keep the money going. But all of this is for a return. A return on their investment. Investment in what? The business, the people, the money, the raw goods that ends up being the product and or service, not out of the goodness of anybody's. So that's that portion. So everybody sees their angle, but the individual, but the workforce, but the consumers. And It is your money, your after-tax dollars that are their profit. Profit being tenfold, 20-fold, 50. So not a percentage. They're not getting like a 25% return. No, we're talking about exponential return, monthly, cash flow. Now that, and we, because of this interdependence, codependence really, codependence is typically negative, but in an abusive relationship, codependence. So in this codependent relationship, we need these people to get back out to work because right now, a lot of companies are filing for bankruptcy. Some of them are shutting down. Some of them have shut down already and will never recover. But we fund the business that was initially invested in by those who have deeper pockets. And they usually can wait us out a little bit longer than others, but they're as dependent on us as we are on our jobs. And so I want to be able to give you a different perspective, another way to look at this thing, because at the end of the day, because you do not see your value in this whole equation, we're being muscled. And yes, we need to run our households and feed our families. We're seeing the small picture, the micro. We're all codependent. We all need to feed our families. We all need to run our household. And I'm not saying to hold out. But what I am saying is this is a wake-up call that we need to look a little bit closer at what Robert Kiyosaki has talked about for all of these years. We couldn't see how we fit in there. And we make our investments in the stock market, which ebb and flow with economy, with how the economy is doing. We make our investments in real estate, which also ebbs and flows with the market. Why? Because all of it is dependent on consumer spending. Consumers get to spending. Without your spending, everything falls apart. 70% of all US economic activity here in the United States is consumer spending. Whether it is buying and selling a house, whether it is companies performing because they are selling products or services, whatever it is that they sell, it's all dependent on us. Wake up, please. I want you to see it differently. That's why I keep talking about there being value in your consumption. Because without your consumption, the whole thing falls apart. And so, Corona is a wake-up call. We need to work right now. Because we cannot get from where we are to a wealthy situation without a strategy, without a plan. And the way I see it is working is about getting your investment together, getting your money together, your capital. You're raising capital to now invest in your business. You are your business. You are your business. What is the return on your time? What is the return on your money? Because those are the things that you are investing. You just didn't know it. Or at least that's not how we talk. What's the return on it? A nice house? What happens if you lose your job? The house is in jeopardy. What kind of experiences are we having in our lives? Would you call your life a fulfilled life? Let me define that for you. Are you living in your purpose? Hobbies? Do you have any? Now, I'll tell you, before a couple of years ago, So my daughter's 25. I think when she was about 16, I was like, well, she'll be 18 soon. I need to figure things out because my life was all about her and working and everybody else. And I didn't want to start dating again until she turned 18. And so I'm like, I need to really establish some hobbies because when she turns 18 and she's out on her own and all of this stuff, like I gotta figure out what it is that I want to do, what makes me happy. So I'm assuming that the masses, because there are not enough hours in a day, you're probably in the same boat. Unless you're a dad, because most dads get to hang out while mom is home with the kids. But you know what? I'm not judging. Leisure, enjoyment. How much time do you have for that? I mean, the way I see it is if we work a 40-hour work week out of 168 hours, so deduct 40 from that, then we're sleeping 8 hours a day, 7 times 7, commuting, so deduct that from that. Then there's family time, kind of, because everybody has their own path. Homework, dinner, maybe the gym. So, how much time are you spending with your family? How much time do you have for yourself? How much time do you have for your personal growth? And why do I say personal growth? It's part of the reason why we're in the situation that we're in today. We can't see past what we've been taught in school. That's a problem. Finances. How are your finances treating you? Are they healthy? And I mean healthy. Not getting by, not stable, not sufficient. Oh, I go on vacation every year, a couple of vacations a year. Um, I have money in the bank. Not everyone can say that they have money in the bank. So, how are your finances? Are you financially successful and thriving and don't have to worry about money? Because most people, to have a fulfilled life, want to be happy, comfortable, and not have to worry about money. And I will tell you, those of us in middle class and lower income, we worry. We may not have it on our mind all the time, but we have to plan for stuff. And a lot of times we're not planning for emergency, so there is no contingency plan. When our families need our help, we have our own problems, so typically we can't support theirs. Relationships. Do you really have time for them? Your friends. So that's what I mean, fulfilled life. That whole laundry list of things that I just talked about. Working takes away from all of that. So what's the plan? What is the plan to get a fulfilled life? Not have to worry about money. Have experiences. I was on the phone today with this guy I met from India. And we were talking about travel. So I asked him, so I said, have you ever been to the States? And he was like, no. And I said, well, I've never been to India either. I said, but not yet. I haven't been to India yet. And so it started this conversation, and he was like, oh, well, where in India do you want to go? And I was like, well, I don't know. I said, for me, traveling is about experiencing different cultures, right? Different places. And it occurred to me that most of my trips have been to like beachy places, right? So the Caribbean, where it's hot and you find some body of water. You might have a couple of activities, but for the most part, it's the beach. And I'm like, no, I want to be a world traveler. I want to go out and experience different cultures. I want to learn about all of these places. We are an interdependent global society. And it occurred to me, so this is what we were talking about, and it occurred to me that the world travelers are typically those who are business owners or who are doing well financially and can be globetrotters. They're not tied to the desk, as is the masses. So, what is your plan to have a fulfilled life? getting away from the office, the desk. What's the plan? Schooling. Because I said we would talk about the economy, work, school. School. Okay, so we're pushing our kids back to school so we can save this economy because of Corona. We need to go back to work. Schooling. Who's it benefiting? The conversation really is that's how we catch abuse. The best environment for the children is the classroom, the social aspects. So, is that why we're not being prepared for life? That's why we are being trained to become a workforce? Because that's what schooling is about. So, I had a friend who used to teach young ballerinas. And so I was like, what's the secret? Actually, this conversation kind of stems from something else, and I won't get into those details. But I was like, what's the secret? Because I wanted some insight from different cultures whose children seem to suck up education. Like I don't know, for whatever reason, they're very involved in their studies. And, I just felt like with mine, she was smart, always, and she still is, but like I didn't feel that thirst for knowledge. And I was the same way. So I'm like, what's the secret? Because I feel like it has to be cultural, something going on, right? Well, I think there's a lot that plays into that, schooling being one of them. That's where we kind of establish our habits. But she said the key is discipline. I was like, discipline? She said, yes, discipline. She said, how do I get 5-year-olds to learn a routine? I need them to be able to take in the information. So the key is discipline. And so it got me, this principle got me back to thinking about one of the talks I did about the lacking education and the bells in school, the grades, the paycheck. Like, it's all training us to behave in a certain way, to have certain expectations. But at the end of the day, it's about discipline. So I went back to thinking, well, in 1779, Thomas Jefferson created 2 tracks of education, one for the laboring, so the people that's going to do the work, and then those who are going to be the educated, the learned, right? Okay. And then in 1805, they came up with the Lancastrian model, which was really an educational model that was to benefit factory owners. So it emphasized discipline and obedience, qualities that factory workers wanted in their workers. Our school system, our educational system, who's it benefiting? We're definitely not being prepared for life. We don't talk about things that we experience in life and what to look out for and how to prepare. No, none of that. None of those things are topics in school. It's not taught in, you know, K through 12, and it's not taught in college. So who's it benefiting? K through 12 is to get you ready for the workforce, and college is to prepare you for a profession, to manage somebody else's money. And the biggest part of our schools is where we develop and accept social norms. And it's perpetuated through our whole lives. Because I kind of started wondering, where does socioeconomic status come from? And I mean, in a different day and time, but no, still today. Why do we accept all of this stuff? All of those habits are developed in school. We have a lot of unlearning to do. Family. I don't know about everybody else, but we talk about how family is the most important thing. It's why we work so hard. We provide for them. But how much time are we actually spending with them? What kind of experiences are we sharing? Especially if we don't have time. Every morning, we all head out in different directions. Do we really know what's going on in each other's lives? So I mentioned before that my mom passed away. She passed away in 2011. And I will say that it wasn't until after she passed away that I learned so much more about her. We, I don't know, functionally had a relationship, but we didn't know each other. I mean, she knew more of my stuff than I knew hers because, she was there for most of it. But I never really even knew to take the time to learn about her. I only knew what I saw. We're living separate lives. Corona is a wake-up call. These are the reasons why we need to do something different. All of this is the reason why we need to do something different. Health. First of all, I said school doesn't really prepare us for life. Okay, so food education, how our body works, it is an engine, what's going to make it work optimally? No. And if you want to learn that, you can pay for education to learn those things. Who's looking out for you? How much time do we have for fitness? I mean, between working, the kids, if you have kids, the commute, sleep, because we have to recover. It's important. How much time do we have for self-care? What is our peace of mind? If we're constantly chasing the dollar, and our chase is not even a good chase, we're chasing till death. It reminds me of this picture that I saw of money blowing in the wind, and this person is chasing it, and the end of life, the cliff. That is our life. No. There's too many ways to make money for this to be our existence. We need to turn things around. I want to give you a different perspective. Why? Because I want you to do things differently. Call me. Call me. We can talk about it. This is a whole entire movement for those of us in middle class and lower income. That is the whole purpose of this podcast. I'm not just talking about this stuff to talk about it because I've learned something. Yes, I am excited that I learned about it. But you can see from my conversations with you, I am passionate about getting this message out. Why? Because we need to do something different. So, Corona is the wake-up call. We have no idea how long this is going to last this way. And everyone is scared. So much so, well, no, not everybody. Jeff Bezos made billions. But anyway, so did a bunch of people in tech. Mark Zuckerberg, a bunch of them. Anyway, but again, it's our money. That's their profit. Please. We have to come together as a community to make this thing work. Call me. My name is Helena Janai, and this is Middle Class to Wealthy.